This question was interesting because the latter half, it's talking about forswearing any form of allegiance or obedience to the Japanese emperor. It's like, I have no allegiance to the emperor.
In 1943, the War Department and the War Relocation Authority created a questionnaire to determine the loyal from the disloyal in the Japanese American internment camps. The questionnaire was controversial in many ways due to the fact that it was questioning the loyalty of American citizens, and also the final two questions on the questionnaire created tension, confusion, and anger due to their wording and implications. To explore the contents and how the previous generation might have felt, we asked young Japanese Americans to take the questionnaire.
I don't know too much about the loyalty questionnaire. Neither side of my family was in the camps, so I'm pretty interested in learning more about what the questionnaire has in its totality and putting myself in the mindset of someone who would have to answer those questions.
I also, like Michelle, don't really know a whole lot about the loyalty questionnaire. We came after the camp, after World War II, so don't really know a whole lot about them, but I hope to learn more about why it was such a divisive issue for Japanese Americans.
And it'll be interesting to see what the questionnaire kind of entails. And I just know there's two famous questions that are kind of insinuated and ask, are you loyal to Japan or to the United States? And my grandparents on my dad's side both were interned. My grandpa fought in 442 in Italy, and my grandma was interned when she was in high school. I'm curious to see, just the things that they would do, their experience there, and have that be applicable to today, because we haven't really had to do that, so.
The first thing the questionnaire asks for is your surname, your English given name, and then your Japanese given name, which makes me feel like, oh, I should have both, or I should have one over the other.
Why do they need to know my height and weight? That's a little bit invasive.
Question 15 is employment, and it asks to give the employer's name, the kind of business, the address, and dates from 1935 to the current date, which again I feel like is just another way of getting information of who are allies to the folks who are incarcerated or put in camp.
So what if you live in a community, in like the Japanese American community, you don't know anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would it be a knock on you to only know Japanese Americans?
Number 24, list magazines and newspapers to which you have subscribed or customarily read. I mean, is this just to gauge how American people were?
I was almost gonna think the opposite. I feel like that could be used as incriminating. All right, last two questions. Very spicy.
Are you willing to serve in the armed forces of the United States on combat duty wherever ordered? Well, I feel like if I was going to be, persecuted for being a Japanese American, then I would want to prove my loyalty to the United States by serving in the military.
These last two questions, 27, 28, were the infamous no, yes, 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 no questions.
I would answer yes on that. And then 28.
Are you answering that based on your past Bryce?
Like if I lived in the past, Bryce? Yeah, I'm answering that as if I was in camp.
It's so hard to put myself in that mindset without thinking about all the context, but I feel like I would be a person who would say no.
I think I would say no too, but not out of rebelliousness, as more as fear. Oh, no? Okay.
Yours is more fear.
Yeah. And yet what's interesting is that even if we answered the same thing and had different reasons why, we would still get lumped into the same.
Right.
Yeah. Will you swear unqualified allegiance to the United States of America and faithfully defend the United States from any or all attack by foreign or domestic forces, and forswear any form of allegiance or obedience to the Japanese emperor or any other foreign government, power, or organization?
I feel so angry sitting here thinking that my allegiance to this country would be questioned.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially since my family immigrated and worked so hard to be in this country, they want to be here, and you're still gonna question that?
You went out of your way to become a citizen of the United States, and now you're asking them if they want to forswear any allegiance that they have? If you became a naturalized citizen, you don't have any allegiance or obedience to the Japanese emperor. Why ask that question? But you see, if you answer no, though, then you're saying that I do not swear unqualified allegiance to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say yes, then you answer yes to forswearing any form or allegiance to Japanese emperor, implying that you had an allegiance. Oh, this note at the bottom, after the signature, Note, any person who knowingly and willfully falsifies or conceals a material fact or makes a false or fraudulent statement or representation in any matter within the jurisdiction of any department or agency of the United States is liable to a fine of not more than $10,000 or 10 years imprisonment, or both.
Like, it tears you apart internally, it tears you apart within your family, and then it tears and it tore up the entire community.
It's kind of messed up.
Do we have to sign this?
How very disturbing.
So I think what I learned from this questionnaire is that, the folks who had to endure this separated from maybe their own family members and their own friends and their own local communities, it was a really tough and difficult situation.
Like for one, I'm not full Japanese, so it would have been very difficult for me to answer these questions if I were in that time. I mean, all these questions have to do with your identity, and then at the end of the questionnaire, it asks you, basically, who are you? Are you Japanese? Are you American? And for those of us today who identify as Japanese American, it's really hard to answer one or the other.
And I feel like if I were to take this back during wartime, I'd just be really nervous, thinking about my family, thinking about my great-grandparents were who the ones that came to the States. They've been here and they've been working, they've been contributing, paying taxes, all these things, and yeah, it's pretty eye-opening for sure, to think about the questions that they had to answer and the things that they had to go through. And so I would hate to imagine that someone else would have to experience this or have any of these things be incriminating for them when they are perfect citizens who obey the law, and all of a sudden they're incriminated and accused of not being loyal to the States.